Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Broad Podcaster with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Highland Lakes, joined once again with Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. And Art, football season for us on the high school level is officially over. I don't know that I've been able to stop tearing up since Thursday's loss the Yellow Jackets had against Edna. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it was a fantastic season. No one wants to lose at any time, and you really hate to lose the last game, which means that you may come in second in state, or you may lose in the state quarterfinals, as Llano did. But you really have to look at the whole package, I think. And this is not just Pollyanna talk, that Llano did so well in winning 3 playoff games and finishing 13-1 for the second time in 3 years. So that's outstanding. And a slew of records broken by Llano or challenged by the boys. And so it just made it so exciting. Llano lost to Edna 40-21. They made it respectable with that 21 because it was 27-0 at half after Edna had scored 21 points in the second quarter. It's real easy to sum up exactly what happened in 3 or 4 ways, but quick ways. Edna's awfully good. They have been for the last couple of years. They will play number 1 ranked Franklin in the state semis, and that could be a heck of a ball game. I don't know much about Franklin except its ranking, and they beat Columbus 23-21 to advance to the state semis. So if you're anywhere near that, there'll be a great ball game to see. What happened to the Jackets is they did not take advantage of opportunities to score a couple of touchdowns in the first half. And, that just cannot happen. I chuckle because Llano picked up 2 fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and they had 2 interceptions. That's 4 turnovers by which they benefited, and they weren't able to produce enough points out of those takeaways to really stay in the ball game. So 40-21, again, the final score. Ulysses Martinez with, I believe, both interceptions, and he wound up with 9 on the season, one of the best seasons a Jacket has ever had. And Llano as a team, 29 interceptions for the year. Another part negative, going back to what happened to Llano, Briggs Green was harassed most of the night and really just could not get away from the rush of Edna. And I think that played a major role in the setback. And, you're sitting there in the warmth of the press box like we were, and you see somebody behind Briggs, and it's like a horror movie, and you want to say, Briggs, they're chasing you, get away, get away. Many times this year he did, but that did not happen in that game against Edna, and I think that was a huge reason that the Cowboys came away with the big win.
Yeah, 27-0 at half. I attended that game. There is a game story on TexasChalkTalk.com where, as you mentioned, Edna scored 27 points in the first half, 5 consecutive touchdown drives. Edna was able to get 4 turnovers. Llano was able to get 4 turnovers, but the difference was that Edna was able to score on theirs, including an 87-yard interception return for a touchdown. That was the last touchdown of the first half.
That was really a bruiser, absolutely. And again, you summed it up well, and Llano knew it was going to be tough, and they just ran into a team that was, call them big and fast, and that was a huge help.
So,
Llano finishes the year. I've got a slew of statistics. I don't need to give them all, but some of the interesting ones. Llano becomes the first team, the 2022 edition, to gain over 6,000 yards in a season. Now, one reason for that, no question, they played 14 games. But I'll tell you, the way that head coach Matt Green pull back his regulars in so many fourth quarters, there could have been a lot more points and a lot more yardage, but he would never do that. But 6,000 yards for the year, that is really a ton. Don't forget, they're just playing 48-minute games. So Carson Kirkendall, almost a 2,000-yard rusher. Miguel Hernandez, a 1,000-yard rusher. And Briggs Green, here we are with this great running team for Llano with some 3,800 yards rushing, and Briggs throws 32 touchdown passes. That is really outstanding. And Jackson Dillard caught 17. That ties for the most in a single year. The 32 TDs in a season is second most for a Jacket. And Briggs Green is tied for a career lead, just 4 touchdowns back of Braxton Vickers. And he could get those, we hope, very quickly next season. He'll be back.
Sure. This is the only thought I really have, and it's more of a thought. If you're welcome to jump in and give your thoughts too. Do you feel that the longer football teams stay in the playoffs in the Texas and the UIL, we're talking just in University Interscholastic League only, because you and I spend more time covering the public schools as opposed to the private schools. Do you feel like that there's more parity? The longer you stay in the playoffs, the more equal the teams become, that there's not a team that is so much better than everybody else, although I think Westlake is probably waving at me right now after that big 47-7 win over San Antonio Brennan.
Westlake has won something like 43 games in a row, and I'm not sure any of them have been close.
Yeah.
Now that is certainly is not what you would call something that will happen throughout these state semifinals and finals. But I'll tell you, sometimes those teams that win, like when Liberty Hill won 2 in a row, they could just spank some of those opponents. It should be, as you say, like when Franklin plays Edna, that should be a heck of a game.
Yeah, and that's, to me, the lopsided score from the first half, you take away those 27 points in the first half, it's almost a pretty even second half here.
Llano even won the second half.
Yeah, but for Llano, that first half is so hard to overcome. And I don't think Edna took their starters out at any point in the second half. I think they had their full starters in. It's just that Llano seemed to have settled down a little better. And, Rattler Stadium is a beautiful stadium. There was media everywhere. There were 3 different newspapers covering that game on top of Dave Campbell's Texas Football sent their crew, and they sent about 8 crew members to cover that game, to broadcast that game. So it was one of the few Thursday night games that really caught the attention of Texas high school enthusiasts across the state. And I also think that the Jackets may have had to get used to that.
Well, they had played big games before. They had won 3 rounds. So I think that was not something that really bothered them. I think that Edna was the better team. And getting back to that 87-yard pick 6, my goodness, when you score that easily, that's really going to hurt. That turned out to be, I believe, a factor. If you take, there's all these ifs, but what else are we going to do? I don't mind playing that game. It's not going to change anything. It's still fun to talk about. The if of the pick 6 and those opportunities wasted, you've really got a ball game there.
And in fairness to both teams, and I wish I could remember from my drive chart how it started, but one team had a turnover. I think Edna was the first team to turn the ball over. The Llano defense recovered. The Yellow Jackets were driving maybe a play or 2, and then they had a turnover. Edna got that and were able to dodge that mishap. And it came at a bad time because I want to say the Jackets, if they weren't inside the Edna 20, then they were certainly close.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and But that's where it went back. It seemed like there were 2 or 3 turnovers in a row like that.
Yes.
Where neither team really got their footing. And then once one team got its footing, and in this case it was Edna, that triggered just a slew of touchdowns. One right after the other. 5 consecutive touchdowns.
Well, 21 points in the second quarter to complete that 27-0 lead at the half. And gosh, I was thinking as the boys are going off the field at intermission, what in the world is Coach Green, Coach Breen, Coach Anastasio, defensive coordinator, going to say to the kids to try to get them back in the game? And they said enough to where Llano scored 21 points in the second half.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for football for right now. We are going to close this segment out. We're going to come back and talk some Highland Lakes basketball. It is tournament season in basketball right now here in the Highland Lakes. I've got 6 different teams here. We're going to get you caught up on everything that I know when we come back for the second segment. As always, for all of your Highland Lakes sports news, please go to TexasChalkTalk.com and please remember to like, subscribe, and share the channel.